Hi, my name is Darren from HTJ.tax, and we're the team that seeks to demystify that sometimes confusing world of international tax. And today, once again, we have the honor and the privilege of having a conversation with Mark Morris. Mark, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm an expert in automatic exchange of information and exchange on demand. And I've been doing this exclusively and nothing else since 2002. And I consulted for the EU Commission, the EU Parliament, and the OECD on the weaknesses of these topics. And I testified to the German Parliament about the tax treaties that they do.
Okay, all right, so pretty impressive. Following on from what
Vivid.
you were discussing in the previous video, especially the idea of a zombie trust and so on, could you talk to us about whether a custodial institution qualifies as a fiduciary structure in the meaning of, the
Yeah.
sanction
Yeah.
situation?
Okay. So before I used to talk about using a trust as a custodian institution, but no,
Yeah.
the definition of a custodian institution is any entity that holds assets for somebody else and
Mhm.
charges custody fees. So a
Mhm.
custodian institution is not the same as fiduciary services. They're
Mhm.
closely related,
Mhm.
and a custodian can act as a fiduciary, but that's very rare. So I'll go into what does that mean. All fiduciaries are custodians because they're holding the assets. But not all custodians have a
Yes. Oh,
fiduciary role. And
okay.
I'll explain what a fiduciary role means, okay? So
Mhm.
a custodian institution is the vault keeper. Its primary goal is to safeguard the assets. Its
Yeah.
core function is holding and protecting clients' assets to prevent loss or theft. So its key responsibilities is physical and electronic safekeeping, processing corporate actions like dividends and stock splits. They have a duty of care to protect the assets from physical loss. So analogy is a safety deposit box in the bank. It keeps your assets valuable safe, but it doesn't tell
Mhm.
you what to put in the box, neither how you should sell your grandmother's jewelry or how to manage or invest what's in the safe. It's just purely holding it, and it's not acting for the benefit of who it's holding it for. It's just holding it safe. Okay,
Mhm.
whereas now we're starting to get to the interesting part. What is a fiduciary service? And this is the one that's not allowed. Okay, a fiduciary service is to act in the client's best interest. So its
Mhm.
core function is providing advice or making
Mhm.
decisions that are solely for the benefit of the client, in this case,
Okay.
the beneficiary. And the key responsibilities are providing financial or investment advice, managing a portfolio, making buy or sell decisions, exercising discretion over the accounts. The standard of care, they are legally bound to the highest standard of care known as a fiduciary duty.
Mhm.
This includes duty of loyalty, putting the client's interest ahead of their own; duty of care, making informed and prudent decisions; duty of good faith, acting honestly and with fair dealing. Analogy, a financial advisor who manages your portfolio don't just hold your stocks, they're deciding which stocks to buy and sell based on what is best for your financial goals. Whereas a custodian institution, its primary role, if not the only role, is to hold assets securely. This includes settlement of trades, collecting dividends and interest. So custodian service is passive. So, whereas the fiduciary, its primary role is to manage and administer for the benefit of another person, according
Yeah.
to the terms of the legal arrangement. The
Mhm.
trustee's job is to manage those assets for the beneficiaries, and they make active decisions to fulfill this duty. Okay. So do these overlap? This is the complexity. A custodian acting as a fiduciary, a large financial institution like Fidelity or Vanguard acts as a custodian for the assets. However, if you invest in one of their managed portfolios, the same institution is now acting as a fiduciary because they are
Mhm.
making investment decisions on your behalf. A
Yes.
trustee is a classic example of a fiduciary who has the custodial responsibilities and legally obligated to manage the trust assets in the best interest of the beneficiaries. So,
Mhm.
really, what they're saying here is a custodial institution is very rarely a, a fiduciary, a structure, a fiduciary service. But the other way around, a fiduciary is very often a custodial because it's holding the assets. So don't mix
Yeah.
those two. It's going to be
Mhm.
important in the future.
Mm. Okay. Mark, if somebody wanted to reach out to you and to find out more, what's the best way to find you?
Well, there's two ways. One is to go to my website, co-ownershiptrust.com, or just Google or maybe AI search Mark Morris TRS. Hundreds of hits should come along.
Okay, fantastic.